Hey guys, good evening. Todd Sachs of Sachs Realty, and welcome to another Tuesday night podcast, which tonight we're doing live. Guys, the market is on fire all across the country. Everybody that I talk to is talking about, how houses are selling in hours, stressful times out there. Tonight, we're talking about how you can buy a house and live for free. I know that sounds crazy, but it's called house hacking. We're not talking about hacking into somebody's Wi-Fi or computer at home or, their burglar alarm system. We're talking about how you can buy a house and have other people pay the mortgage. House hacking actually is proven for years to be one of the easiest ways to get into investing in real estate. And I'm a real estate broker here in Maryland, and I have a broker network all over the country. But as I talk to people, and especially here at home, I'm always hearing about, how do I get into real estate investing? How do I start? How do I get the money to do it? So my guest, Dustin Heiner, is actually streaming from Arizona right now. He's a real estate investor. Dustin, welcome to our podcast tonight.
Thanks, Todd. I really appreciate you having me on. I'm really looking forward to all this. I love talking about real estate, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, tell everybody a little bit about you. I know we talked a little bit offline here about how you lost your job, right? 4 kids. Tell the story.
So yeah, I've been coaching a little while now, actually quite a long while now, how to invest in real estate. But I was working at the county government on a normal week, and on a Friday, my boss says, "Dustin, would you please come into my office?" And as I walk in there, he hands me a piece of paper. I actually get laid off. And remember, this is the government. Nobody gets fired or laid off for the government. It's hard to lose your job working for the government, but I did. And so as I get that piece of paper, I walk back to my desk, and I got 2 weeks left to work there and figure something out. So as I'm sitting there at my desk, I realize I need to do 2 things. Number one, get another job, because I need to be able to pay for my bills and my food and the housing and everything for my family. The second thing I realized, I need to make sure everything that I do from this point forward is to get me so that this never, ever happens again, that nobody has this hanging over my head. And so as I started buying property after property, because I was now an investor, every single property I got one step closer to being able to never need to work. I want to help out people. So I literally started Master Passive Income, my podcast and YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So that is how I became a real estate investor.
That's great. For many people, they don't think that you can obtain financial freedom through, whatever means of investing. I've been investing in real estate for about 25 years and have rental properties. And if you guys are listening to this tonight, we're going to talk about real ways that you can make this happen. And so we're going to talk about house hacking. So go ahead, Dustin, give a little, description of what we're talking about when we say house hacking.
I love the idea of getting started investing through house hacking. It's one of the best ways to get started, especially if you have very little money. Now, let me give you a little bit of idea of what house hacking is. Now, when I say a single family home, I say it as the IRS views it or your bank views it. It's a 1 to a 4 unit complex. And so it could be 4 units, 3 units, 2 units, or 1. That's a single family home. You get to multifamily, that's 5 units and above. Different it's different everything, like IRS and if you want to get any financing, it's commercial, all that sort of stuff. Like it's viewed differently. You're buying a business as opposed to a property. So when I use the term single family home, I'm using it all around. So when it comes to house hacking, think about not just buying a single family home, just one place. Buy one that could have another unit, maybe a basement, maybe an attic, maybe a side-by-side, like a duplex. You basically buy something that you can rent out. It could be a spare room. If you want to have a roommate, you're renting out a portion of the house that helps offset the mortgage payment and taxes and everything. I personally, all my students, they love jumping into a duplex because duplex are really, they're everywhere almost. And it's really easy to buy one. And then you live in one and rent out the other. Long story short, it's fantastic. We can get into all this great little tips on how to actually get into it and scale the business.
We certainly are. We're going to get right into it. You know, you often talk about Robert Kiyosaki, and he's for many of you that you know that he's the author of a famous book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he talks about gaining wealth through real estate. But he also talks about in his book that there's good debt and then there's bad debt. And for a lot of people, depending on when you bought a house and what happened afterwards, like if you bought a house pre-08, you might think owning a house is not really a good investment. And, you know, we're always challenged with that. We're asked about it all the time because real estate is actually where you live is one of your biggest expenses. You know, you can have things go wrong with the house, things that go up. Dustin, talk about what Robert Kiyosaki and what you refer to as, you know, good debt and bad debt. Just kind of break that down.
If you buy a house to live in, just a regular house that you and your family live in, that's literally bad debt because bad debt takes money out of your pocket. Good debt puts money back into your pocket. So if you have a house that you live in, even if it's a rental, but if you own a house and you have bad debt, if you have where money's coming out of your pocket, you're losing money. So the house that you're currently living in, if you're not renting out a room or doing something, that's bad debt. Your car that you buy or, you know, you're leasing or you get mortgage financing on it, that's bad debt. That's coming out of your pocket. Now, what good debt is, and I absolutely love good debt. Good debt puts money in your pocket. To give you an example, you buy a house and you rent it out. You calculate all your expenses, you add them all up, and then you have your rental, which is your income. Well, that difference there is the passive income. That's putting money into your pocket. And what I suggest to actually teach for all my students is to make sure that you're making $250 or more every single month in passive income from every single property that you buy. That's good debt making you money. That's how I'm able to feed my family. We've got 30 plus properties and all of them are making at least $250 or more. Some are even $500 or $600 a month in passive income where I literally don't work and it makes me money. So with a house hack, you're doing the exact same thing. And if you have the foresight to do it again, maybe 3 or 4 times, let's say you did it 4 times, that's literally 8 units. 4 duplexes or 8 units that you are renting out to other people. You have a mortgage on it. But here's the great thing about rental properties. I personally, as a landlord, I don't pay my mortgage. I don't pay my taxes. I don't pay my insurance. I don't pay my property manager. I don't even pay to repair the leaky toilet. My tenants pay for every single dime of that. That means I have good debt. Money comes into my pocket. If you want to get basically start investing in real estate, doing a house hack, there is a great way, even if you have very, very little money. There is a program called the FHA loan, Federal Housing Administration loan. You only have to put down 3.5% down on a property. So if you're buying a $100,000 house, that's only $3,500. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can work really hard, save for $3,500. Or if you have a $200,000 duplex or a house, that's only $7,000. Quick little caveat, you have to live in there for a year unless you refinance out of the FHA, which I strongly suggest. You live in there a year, but then you can move out after a year. The FHA guidelines is only you have to live in there for 1 year. Imagine only taking $7,000 and starting investing, getting rid of that rent payment right now by putting $7,000 down for a $200,000 house and getting somebody to rent it from you. It's absolutely phenomenal to be able to utilize good debt to house hack, to start investing, to eventually build a great business that has lots of properties in it.
Yeah, that's great advice. You tell people 250 over all the expenses. So that's your mortgage payment, your insurance for the house, your taxes, and then clearing $250. I like to say $500, but yeah, I mean, 250, certainly cash flowing. You know, personally, I always say when I'm looking at it, you know, I have rental properties, I want $500 or $6,000 a year. And that just kind of gives me a little bit more of a cushion. There's a whole bunch of different concepts, right? So you've spoken about single family houses, which is, you know, basically 1 meter or you know, one building, and you can certainly rent rooms and things like that. And then you talk about a duplex or where you have 2 units or 3 units and up to 4 units, really before you start getting into commercial, once you hit that 5th unit. Let's talk about single family homes first. So it's kind of, what do you look for, Dustin, or what do you teach people if they want to do a single family home? You know, what are some of the things that they should be looking for?
In a single family home, I love the cookie cutter type home. These are the types of homes that everybody either wants to rent or they want to buy. So I have an exit strategy if I want to sell it. I would absolutely tell you, do not buy a 2-bedroom. Like 100%, do not buy a 2-bedroom. As an investor, I bought 2 bedrooms. They are horrible. Trust me. Learn from my mistakes. Don't ever do that again. The cookie cutter is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1 to 2 car garage. I'd say 1,200 square feet to maybe 1,600 square feet. And there's a lot of reasons why you want this particular one. Number one, if you have a 3,000 square foot house, that's that much more walls and carpeting and electrical outlets and plumbing and all that sort of stuff. It's too big. It's just a lot of money. You're not going to get that much more in rent. Now, like I said, the bedroom, when you have 2 bedrooms, that's just so little. You're not going to get families. We love to rent to families. The dad works in the area, the mom might work in the area or stay at home, and the kids go to school in that area. Maybe their family's in the area. They're not going to move very easily. Now, if you rent a 1-bedroom to a single guy, he's going to up and leave it 2 seconds. He's not going to really think too much about it. So we love the cookie cutter type homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1 to 2 car garage, 1,200 to 1,500 square feet.
One of the things that we know is with house hacking, it helps people actually get started. So you talk about, when you're living in the house, you can get those better loans, the FHA loans. With a single family house, you actually rent bedrooms, right? You can rent bedrooms, you can rent the basement. So you buy a house and, if it's a single family unit, you actually are sharing that space. You have roommates essentially, right? And they're paying your mortgage. So some people say, well, I'm not really comfortable doing that. I don't know that I want to buy a house and rent a room or Airbnb a room. And this isn't just for, young people starting out. I have a friend of mine bought a condo and he actually Airbnbs one of the bedrooms and makes like $500-600 a month, towards the mortgage payment, even through the pandemic when people were rarely traveling. Before the pandemic, he was paying for his mortgage. So kind of tell people like what to expect. You have to live in the house for a year if you're doing an FHA or you're doing any kind of loan where you're using it as a primary residence. So, how do you rent this space? Take us down that path.
So there's a couple different options. Number one would be long-term rentals, or number two would be short-term rentals. Those are 2 different options. I'll quickly go into short-term. That would be Airbnb or VRBO.com, 1 day to maybe a month or something, really, really short. There's also long-term where they would stay in there for 6 months or a year, depending on what the lease term actually is. Now, if you are in a house that you're like, man, I don't have a basement, I don't have an attic, I don't have another unit, but I actually have a room that I don't use. Now, if you want to, I personally wouldn't have a roommate, but if you were fine with having a roommate, that's a way to make extra money or utilizing it literally. This is how Airbnb got started. The founders said, hey, we have an extra room. We have an air mattress. Let's just go ahead and rent it out. This air mattress, just this air mattress, not even the bedroom, but like this air mattress. That's why they call it Airbnb. It's an air mattress, bed and breakfast. And so people are renting out just one room or even
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a fun story. Now, if you're thinking about long-term rentals are more my favorite. I think you should probably have a little bit of both, or sorry, a little bit of the short-term along with your long-term.
So what about, you're living in the house and you're renting your rooms, or maybe you're renting the basement. And I've seen people do this. And, I'm a real estate broker. We know things go on and we see it. But there's a lot that I can't advise. When you have a license, you can't, you certainly have to tell people, look, you got to make sure that you're following the laws, right? The rental laws and things like that. Guys, with house hacking, just like Dustin's saying, you're basically, you're getting in these houses and, there's so many different ways of doing it. So, you have your single family approach. So a lot of people they're buying the house, and obviously you have to qualify for the mortgage. You want to buy that house to live there. So, that you aren't creating mortgage fraud by, saying that you're going to live there and don't actually live there. You want to live there. Like Dustin was saying, if you're doing FHA, you have to be there a minimum of 12 months. But once you get inside of this house and you buy it, you can rent these rooms. So, whether you're Airbnb the rooms or whether you're calling your buddies up and saying, hey, I have a room to rent, it happens. People are doing it. And it's a way that they pay the mortgage. So you figure a lot of people, I mean, I just put 2 kids through college. The average room in a college setting, whether it's an apartment, people are accustomed to paying about $700 a month. So if you have a 4-bedroom, it's like $2,800, right? And and then a lot of that, it's plus your utilities. So they're sharing the utilities. You're sharing the food, or you have your own cabinet where you keep your food, and it's just kind of like an understanding. So a lot of people getting started, and they're saying, how do I buy real estate? How do I start investing? That's a great way to start. You buy the house, just like Dustin said. You make sure, don't get a 2-bedroom, because unless it's a condo. But if you're getting a single family house, you're taking that approach. Buy something that's going to be marketable, that you can sell for more money if you decide to create that exit strategy. But if you think you have a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom house, you're living in one of the bedrooms, your mortgage payment might be $1,700, $1,800 a month. You're renting 3 rooms, $700 a month. That's $2,100. You're cash flowing, right? Other people are paying your mortgage. Or like Dustin was saying, you can Airbnb it, get somebody on a short-term rental. Friend of mine that's doing it, he's close to one of the companies that brings a lot of people in, and they come in for weeks at a time. He'll get people for Airbnb that rent those rooms for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month at a time. They come back again and again and again. I think the biggest thing that you're going to have to learn and adjust to is, are you comfortable doing it? Because, when you first start out, if you're saying, how do I get started in real estate? You jump into the commercial side, you get a commercial loan, you want a straight rental. The banks are going to want like 25, 30% down, especially in the market and the climate that we're in right now. If you're going to live there and you want to start real estate investing, but you want to do it with a house that you're going to live in and share it with other people, it may be a little bit uncomfortable for you. But just think, the more you get out of your comfort zone, the more you're going to get into the profitability zone. And if it's only short term for a year and it's a way to get started, you're just going to have to make those adjustments and do it. Dustin, let's talk about, you spoke about duplexes and triplexes and quads, up to 4 units in one building or one house, one dwelling. What are some of the advantages of living in one of those units and renting it, besides the obvious, right? You're not living with that person, seeing them when you're getting coffee in the morning necessarily. But what are some of the advantages of buying a completely separate, house, like a duplex, a side-by-side, or a, top over bottom?
The biggest reason why you would want to get a duplex or something that's more than just one unit, well, for me, I got 4 kids. There's no way I'm going to have somebody else living in my house. It's just not going to be possible.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be possible. But the biggest thing is you have multiple doors. That's the biggest thing. If you think about, not when I say like that, a bedroom door, I'm not talking about a bedroom door. If you have one house that has one entry door into the house with 3 bedrooms, you could rent out every single one in the house, which is totally fine. But it's not scalable, because you're going to have to manage the people and make sure people are living in there okay. Like, it works well when you're in there by yourself. But when you move out, you're not going to be able to do that. What I love about duplexes or triplex or fourplexes is because you have multiple doors, entry doors, like basically units. So unit A and unit B pay you rent. If you have a single family home or one house that's just one unit or one door, then the people that come in, they're saying, hey, why do I have to pay all this electricity now, all this internet? When we were splitting it by 3, now 2 people are out. I'm by myself. I have to pay this entire thing. You don't want that.
I mean, a lot of people will house hack luxury homes too. You can buy real estate that you wouldn't normally be able to afford, right? So, or want to afford. I mean, you could buy a couple $1 million condo and, rent the rooms or Airbnb it and get it down to a price that you can afford. So, there are definitely different ways. This isn't just for newbies. I mean, the idea is to get, like Dustin said, get into it however you feel that you can. We're certainly a resource for you. All of our information is in the show notes. I mean, I can definitely be reached, and so can Dustin. If you're looking for properties anywhere in the country, you're just starting out, and you need help, we'll be glad to get you resources and point you in the right direction. House hacking, guys, starting out, buying that house, renting rooms to your buddies, to your friends, to your family is a great way to get started. You're going to be able to get traditional financing, not investor loans or hard money. The nice thing about it is, you lock in, you live there for a year, and cash flow the property. You're locking in those rates for 30 years. I mean, when you're buying a house that you're living in and as an owner occupant, your mortgage payment will never go up. So that's the nice thing. I mean, it may adjust a little bit to your taxes, but the nice thing is your rents will go up over time, but your mortgage payment won't go up. And then all the while, your appreciation for that property is going up. I've seen people do crazy things. I've seen people do owner occupant. They bought a house, they put people in the house, and they lived in an RV in the backyard. Took all the income. Yeah, I mean, and they're living there, but they're actually living outside. What kind of advice can you tell someone to look for and screening tenants and selecting houses and things like that?
The biggest thing that I did wrong was really not know what I was doing before I got started. My first property manager literally was stealing from me within 6 months because I didn't know what I was doing. So the number one thing I should have done was get some education, get some learning, figure out exactly how to do it by somebody who's already done it. Now, the other thing that you really want to do is run background checks. I kid you not. You do not want to miss out on background checks. I had a background check run on this one lady. Her application looked phenomenal. Her interview with the property manager was terrific. She looked great. References looked great. Kid you not, when the background check came back, she was evicted 4 times in the previous 3 years. And I'm smart. I'm somewhat smart. I said, well, shoot, I'm glad I did a background check because I'm not going to be the 5th person or the fifth time for her to get evicted. Run a background check. So get education, learn how to do it from people who've already done it that want to show you, get a property manager, and as well as always do background checks.
That's great advice. And get a 50-state background check. A lot of times you have to pay a couple more bucks, but you actually get multiple states, because if you're like where we are, we have Pennsylvania really close, Virginia, DC, Delaware, and, people that move around a lot, that have a tendency to be high risk, they do move around a lot. And, kind of set up what I believe is set up to, the same criteria for everyone, and don't sway for the sob stories, because everybody has a sob story. I have a sob story. You have a sob. I mean, we all have sob stories, right? So, I find that when you give in, and don't follow your set of absolute knots or must-haves, is when the biggest mistakes happen. And, I felt sorry for the person. They needed a place to live, and good luck getting them out. We're going through that actually on a couple properties right now. I always tell people, be vacant. Be vacant before you put the wrong, make the wrong tenant selection, and do your background, just like Dustin's saying. At the end of the day, too, make sure you're selecting these properties right. I can't emphasize enough, and I hear a lot of people. They say that real estate agents, I don't need a real estate, especially investors. They'll say, I don't need a real estate agent. Investors, in my opinion, really need a real estate agent, because if they're busy going to Japan, you need somebody that's scouring the marketplace for you, saying, hey, Dustin, this one has Dustin's name all over it. But guys, what I want you to do is I want you to know, when you're dealing with a real estate agent, I want you to be smart and go out and look at the multiple lists and try and understand things yourself, and, crunch, get advice from financial analysis and things like that. How to determine whether it's a good deal, and how to cash flow, and how do you know what all your costs are. But a good agent, a good realtor, they're going to know, if they find someone who's familiar with the rental market, who does rentals, that understands it, that has other investors as clients, and, and ask to talk to them. I mean, get some reviews or some referrals, and ask them, because that agent is going to be gold for your success. They're going to know exactly where you are in your walk, your investor walk. You're just starting out. It's even more critical that, like Dustin said, he likes taking those properties over from people that are fed up because they just haven't been advised properly. So, you know, first make sure that you have in your toolbox, in your arsenal, the information that is necessary. Talk to people. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching tonight. I hope you got a lot out of tonight's show. Like I said, all of our information is in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, if you hit that like or subscribe button and, you know, give us your comments. We've got a couple of people that have commented here. Dustin, thank you so much for your information tonight and your time and being on our show.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I give everybody something for free that's going to help them out in starting investing?
Absolutely. Shoot.
Awesome. Yeah. So I actually have a real estate investing course because I just want people to start doing this. I have a real estate investing course. I will give you, everybody watching this and listening to this, absolutely for free. If you go to masterpassiveincome.com, M-A-S-T-E-R, masterpassiveincome.com/free course, all one word, /free course. I will literally get you my free real estate investing course, walking you through how to find an area of the country to invest, how to find the right properties, how to scale up to quit your job, basically get you down the path to see, should I do this? If you are reading this and you're like, man, I need to do this, it is going to get you there. So get my free real estate investing course.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And guys, until next week, thanks for watching. Sachs Realty, Maryland broker number 607720, office number 443-318-4514, equal housing opportunity.